We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are.
Hey everyone, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It is episode number 76. And with me, of course, are my two good buddies, John Tracy, Steve Murray. I'm, of course, Matt Craig. Happy you are with us, and you're along for the ride. John, how you doing?
I am great.
Awesome. Steve, I know you're a little hoarse right now, coming back from Hershey, but you're doing okay?
Little horse. Tournament this weekend in Hershey to end the season. Want to give a shout out to my boys, the Royals, my son's team. I'm hoarse from yelling at the defenseman because I'm the defensive coach. So, but we finished on a high note, won a big game, and it was a blast this weekend. So,
it's a good thing that your son Keith is not going to be grounded for the rest of the week for not scoring that big key power play goal today. So that's huge. I love that.
That's right.
You're
in trouble.
Exactly.
You the man.
So with 76 guys, it's amazing. Here we are. Not only do the Philadelphia 76ers represent our episode number. There you go, John. But we also had a few players that were 76 in the city of Philadelphia. One of them, of course, being a 7'6" Sean Bradley. And
we're not
weird.
Counting him. We're not counting him. That's episode 44 when we get there.
We got to go back in the time machine.
Yeah,
for that.
Space Jam. He was in Space Jam.
I think he wore 4 too. Maybe we could do 104, but no, he's not getting 76. No way. Sean Bradley's not. No, I struck him from the record.
Okay.
Is it bad that I forgot 76ers for episode 76?
I don't think none of us talked about that the whole time. I literally remembered it when Matt said 76, and I was kind of gazing down at my sweatshirt. I wore this because the Sixers are playing tonight. I did not wear this on purpose. I don't do things like that.
Absolutely love it. We do have two very favorite Eagles, though, of all three of the hosts that wore 76 for the Eagles. Barrett Brooks, I mean, guy does post-game, pre-game live for the...
I don't know if I like Barrett Brooks better as a player or a sports personality. Like, he wins me both ways. Like, I love that man.
Yeah.
I even follow his wife on Twitter.
I didn't even know his wife had a Twitter account. That's shocking. Wow. That's unbelievable. And then John Welborn, very underrated guard, but real good guard, actually.
He's a good guy.
Andy Reid, yeah. Solid left. I think right guard could play in the middle. You know, could plug him anywhere, really. Yeah. Terrific.
Andy knows something.
Yeah.
He does.
Everybody else,
no,
so
not
much.
really.
No Flyers wore that number.
No Flyers wore that
number.
No
Flyers.
No Phillies. Probably a Philly. Maybe a Philly. No Phillies.
No Philly. There was somebody on the Flyers that did wear 76.
No one.
We will not mention
Flyers
his name.
wore that number.
We will not mention his name.
Nobody wore that number for the Flyers.
Nobody wore that number.
He's trying to make a point. And Ryan Matson's going to come out of retirement and
he'll wear that for
56 or 76 because, he does that. So he's going to be the pitching coach in like 2035. And then he's just going to wear each episode number so we can go back.
So we can cover it. Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Exactly. Fastball changeup. But I have this curveball. No, you don't. Fastball changeup.
Hey, if you can't hit either pitch, you're pretty good.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
I just remember this on TV when it was like, just do this. Thanks, dude. Really helping the next generation.
Exactly. Really passing down that knowledge. Exactly.
Love that guy.
Well, guys, we would be remiss, of course. We had something planned for topic 1, but guess what? We're booting it because something obviously very tragic happened in the world of wrestling. Scott Hall passed away at the age of 63. One of the all-time greats, but also very underrated wrestler. And I don't mean to say underrated as lightly. He was a terrific star, wonderful personality. Came across one of our hosts. It was his favorite wrestler, so I'm going to pass it over to Steve. Steve, what are your thoughts on Scott Hall's passing?
I wish I had known this was coming up when I did my little razor walk 2 episodes ago. So this one hit me harder than most. I started watching wrestling probably 92-ish, somewhere around there. And the Razor Ramon character really drew me in. The vignettes were hysterical. But before he even started wrestling, he was putting out these vignettes of like him and walking around downtown Miami and eating in restaurants and stuff, and they were hilarious.
Yeah.
So even though he was a heel, it was awesome. And then to watch him then turn into a good guy, I loved it even more. And I followed him through his Intercontinental Championship title runs and the match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10, the ladder match. I watched it through the pay-per-view squiggly lines, do it like the video.
Yeah.
And if you ever get the chance, he and Shawn Michaels actually, maybe a couple years ago, went back and rewatched it and kind of did some commentary on some of it, and it's great to watch and hear.
Maybe we'll link that up. I'll throw that up on.
They probably critiqued the hell out of it, knowing those two.
Oh, it was great because at one point, Scott Hall was like, "Yeah, this is the point where everybody's like, okay, he's gonna climb the ladder and get the belt," and he's like, "Oh no, you've been beating me with this ladder. It's my turn now. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna start wailing on you."
Oh, exactly.
And they give you some other nuggets like that was the only ladder in Madison Square Garden, so if they broke it, what were they gonna do?
Can you imagine if that would have happened? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the best part was after the match they go back to the dressing room and Scott says like, "Yeah, Randy Savage was there," and he's like, I think they went 10 minutes over their time or something. "You guys are selfish." It's like, but it's as I understand it, it's considered one of the greatest matches of all time.
It is, yeah.
In wrestling,
certainly in WrestleMania history, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I kind of as 95, 96, I kind of got out of wrestling and was paying more attention to hockey at that point. So even though I'm wearing an NWO shirt, ironically, I wasn't really following Scott as he made that transition to WCW. I heard stuff like secondhand and people would still buy me wrestling video games because they were always fun to watch as presents. So, I get like WrestleMania 2000 on the Nintendo 64 and that was great.
Yeah.
So Scott would make appearances here and there. But he was fun to watch, and he was thinking back, you don't think about it as a kid. He was a strong dude.
Oh yeah.
Like to the Razor's Edge finishing move. We talked about in pre-production. It's not like a jackknife power bomb where you basically you sort of pick a guy up and use his momentum and gravity to flip him over and land him on the canvas. You have to pick the guy up, bring him over your shoulder,
yeah,
and then hoist him up, and then bring him down.
Yeah.
And that took strength.
That no question. I mean, that was an unbelievable feat of strength of what he did. And some of these guys, you're talking 200, 225 pounds, mostly for an average wrestler.
I think he put the show up one time. He put Big Show up one time.
Did he really?
I'd have to see that. That would be impressive.
He was not a small man.
For our non-wrestling fans.
There's only one guy that...
Yeah, I was going to say the Big Show's like 400 pounds. Yeah, 400 pounds now. But back then he was 500.
Yeah.
Didn't Kurt Hennig put Big Show in a perfect plex?
I think so.
He did it to somebody where you're like, holy crap.
That was Wetz's name's. That was one of Scott's best friends coming up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they came up together. So I did. Trust me, they probably did a lot of cool shit in their time.
Yeah. And the other feat of strength I always like to watch him do was when like somebody would go off the rope and try to like horizontally body press him, and he would catch him in midair, and then he would just like stand there for a couple seconds, like yeah. he would flip him over his head. And I just this weekend saw somebody said, can we call this the Hall Slam or something? Sean Waltman, who was the 1 2 3 Kid and X-Pac and those characters, he goes, no, you can't, because it will always be the sack of shit, because that's what he called it.
Yep.
Because I forget who it was like, after the match, he's like, you just kind of tossed me like a sack of shit. So that's what I called it.
There have been more fall away slams from the announcement of his passing on Monday to Friday in wrestling than I think there has been in 20 years. And that shows I saw it on AEW. I saw it on AEW Dark. I saw it on SmackDown. I saw it on Raw. I saw it on Impact. Like, it's definitely it was a fun thing when he did it. And obviously everybody was watching.
Oh, no question. Yeah. No doubt about that.
I didn't like Raw's crowd. I watched Raw for the first time in probably 25 years.
That's been a dead crowd for 25 years.
I mean, I give credit to the guy.
It's been a dead crowd.
Kevin, what's his name? Kevin Owens, who I don't know from whoever.
Scott Hall likes him. Just so he liked him a lot. Like he was
he did. I thought he was, he came out and he started Raw with the Hey Yo, and he did a couple other things that night that paid tribute to him, which I thought was great. But the crowd sucked because
it was dead. I was shocked by that.
It was dead. I mean, come on. You got to recognize what's going on.
Raw's been like that for the pay-per-view crowds are probably SmackDown crowds are pretty decent, but that all could be Fox production. That might not be the crowd.
Could be, yeah.
So his passing as one of my childhood favorite, he was my favorite wrestler growing up. That was hard enough, but the other thing that made it difficult was that he made, I think it was well documented, he had a serious drug and alcohol problem.
Oh, absolutely.
And he hit some really low lows, especially in like the early 2000s. And you learn that when my brother was in rehab, you have to kind of, before you go see him, you have to sort of take this class. I don't want to call it a class, but that is essentially what it is, where you learn about addiction. And one thing you learn is that you never cure addiction. It's something that person is going to live with for the rest of their life, and it's just how they manage it. And so Scott Hall didn't cure his addiction, but to where he came to after having been where he was truly inspiring. To see his turnaround, because he looked, when you watch videos from the last couple years where he's talking, he looks fantastic. And you compare that to videos from like the early 2000s when he's coming in and he just looks terrible,
and he looks like he was on death's door.
Yeah, I mean, he could have passed away 10 years ago.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
The turnaround he made was fantastic. And to kind of see him go out like this, where you have it took 3 heart attacks to kill the guy, is how strong he was. After having a hip surgery, that was tough.
No doubt about that. That's a great point, because what you've just mentioned, Steve, I think Impact had it's like a 4-minute squash match between him and Kevin Nash in 2010. And even in 2010, he wasn't himself. You could definitely tell he was still kind of battling through his inner demons, but he was getting better slowly. And you're right. I think if he didn't have, I give DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, a lot of credit with yoga and getting his mind right. I think that's a huge step in the right direction for him. What happened? Because I think you're right. I mean, if he didn't have any of that, he would have been long dead prior. We wouldn't be talking about him today.
Right.
Glowing way, obviously. Yeah.
He did definitely redeemed himself.
No doubt.
I remember just seeing interviews just recently of him. Man, he was talking like he was talking back in '92, mental clarity and just smart to the business, and just these are just interviews he was doing with random podcasters or interviewers, and man, he was still had that cutting talk that he dude could just talk. That was his Here's the gift of gab.
That's why the vignettes were so great, because he was an engaging person to speak.
Came across as really authentic too, especially with the fit. And I remember in the Miami where he's sitting in at a convertible top, and he's got those gold chains, and it's a typical South Florida, Cuban. You're thinking like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? And he's got that, but he came across as really, really cool.
But it was a great character.
It was, yeah.
It was a lot of him.
It was, yeah.
Well, I heard that when he went to WCW, the WWE tried to sue him to you got to stop doing the razor gimmick, and he's like, I'm not doing the razor gimmick, I'm just being myself.
Yeah, they sued him for likeness rights.
Yeah,
but they lost because that's Scott Hall. He's not.
Exactly.
He literally played himself as Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just made it.
Yeah, what a
Hispanic
genius.
accent. It's
Yeah, what a genius. All he did was drop the fake accent.
Yeah.
Right.
That was all he did.
Mm-hmm.
He kept the same words because he was Scott Hall, and you can't sue Scott Hall for being Scott Hall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's the other thing is too, it's been really cool to see how wrestlers down the line The Rock spoke glowingly of him. He's like, I studied his matches before I came up because, and when I thought about it, they kind of punch the same, frankly.
Yeah. Literally, Rock stole his punch. He's one of the best. Razor was one of the best punchers in the game. That Rock, if anybody's a Rock fan that doesn't know who Scott Hall is, he flat stole his punch. That is a Scott Hall punch from back in the AWA days.
Yeah.
And Scott Hall taught him how to take a stunner from Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That stunner that we watched him take. The Rock has had some crazy ones where he's literally spun on his head.
Where he's flipping over the top.
But that flat back that we watched Scott Hall, that made my heart sing. Yeah. That was wrestling. That's what I fell in love with when he took that.
WrestleMania 18. Yeah.
Boom. And he hits his back. I'm like, that's how you're supposed to do it.
What was great about that whole sequence was Stone Cold hits him once and he's kind of wobbling like this.
Yeah,
he hits it again and then he flies backward, which is great. That's the great part of that entire cell. Just so utterly hilarious.
Yeah. And by the way, DDP, the props to DDP. I was an early adopter of his program, and I still use some of it to stretch for hockey.
There you go.
Really great. I'd love to do more of it. But I need I have a book. I bought a book 20 years ago that had the stuff in it. I'm not even sure if I'm doing it right. I need a video. Or as I get old and correctly.
DDP will sell you a video.
I'm sure he will.
Don't worry about that.
I got to get off my lazy butt. I got to get off my lazy butt and look for it. That's what
exactly.
But I also understand we've got some people affiliated with the Two Noobs who also had some thoughts they wanted to share on Scott Hall, and John was gracious enough to record them for us.
We got some extra noobs here. We're gonna play this video right now.
So we have your cousin John, and then we have Mikey.
My cousin Mikey Bowles.
Hey,
Tom Holzman.
And Tom Holzman, the great Tom Holzman, who's been on the show.
Scott Hall was a lot of guys, but he was Scott Hall. Razor Ramon, the bad guy. And, he invented the ladder match for championships, basically. WrestleMania 10, I want to say. He brought it back to where wrestling was with the first WrestleMania. When he went into WCW with the Outsider, he formed the NWO. And Hulk Hogan even said that he revived his thing, where at one point Hogan wasn't relevant at all. And with the formation of the NWO and put WCW back to the NWA Saturday night days, he was, everybody wanted to be in the NWO. Dennis Rodman was in the NWO. Who was it? Gilbert, I think, was in the NWO. Everybody, too sweet. We all did it back in the 90s, and to the point we're all doing it now. And he made that popular. Not the Click, not Triple H. The one thing that I even before you asked me to do this, I was watching a thing about with Scott Hall, and they said, what was your biggest memory or your greatest match in WWF? He said it was Madison Square Garden 2 days before he was leaving the company, and he was fighting Triple H. And he said with the house shows, you could be a little more creative and you always your best work.
I just like the way he just encompassed everything for the next generation, like how he's used to set up things for them, be there for them, guide them on their path, because the Attitude Era was really like it was a lot of emotional damage that they just tucked down inside, and I don't think they touch on that a lot with the newer generation. So you have a lot of the OGs like Scott Hall that are just there for those new people coming in saying, hey, like, if you're feeling a certain way, if you're feeling overworked, if you're feeling like you don't have enough work, we can do whatever. Like, I'm here for you. Like, I can set this up for you. I can be there for you. I have connections. I can hook you up with somebody that can put you on the right path for them. So like, just from him always being like the charismatic dude towards being the most charismatic heel, like regardless of what your personality was, always perform it to the best of your ability and don't be afraid to seek out for help, because like, it's sad to say, but like, he was like a staple for one of those people that maybe could have seeked out more help during his career, and who knows what would have happened, maybe what would have like happened to him if he did like move on in a more positive way behind the scenes that we will never know about. But I think him helping out the next generation of wrestlers and helping them with signs that he probably sees in them, like just the way they wrestle, the way they act off camera, on camera, backstage and all that. I think he just was one of those people that got a sense for the work and could see how other people felt and how they wanted to be felt or how they wanted to be pushed.
I think the big thing about Scott Hall for me was that he was the first wrestler I thought who was cool, right? That was his whole gimmick. He was oozing machismo, and he debuted as a heel. So as a young kid, I was disposed to boo him because I was a square. I liked the heels. I liked the faces and hated the heels. But quickly, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon sort of won me over. I was quite happy when he became a good guy. His match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 10 really was one of the first, that and Brett versus Owen, was the first WrestleMania that you realize that, hey, maybe all the match on the show could be good rather than, it's being one, whatever match Randy Savage was involved in. And so he was always sort of the guy. And as a kid, you sort of realize, when's he going to win the world championship, right? And, when you're a kid, you're a big mark. And that's how it should be, You don't want to know all the stuff. You don't want to know how the sausage is made. And when you're a kid, you want the guys you like to win the world title. And that's how you get sort of like, well, these statements like, oh, Roddy Piper should have won the world title, and this guy should have won the world title, Dustin Rhodes, whatever. As you get older, you realize, Scott Hall was on TV every week, whether it was as Razor Ramon or whether it was as Scott Hall, NWO Scott Hall. And whenever he was on screen, even if he was at his most fucked up, when he was, drinking and doing drugs, was always an electric presence, always somebody you gravitated towards. Hogan was the guy, was the hammer for the New World Order, but, Nash and Hall were the two guys, wherever Nash and Hall went, you sort of looked at, and then later on Sting and Luger and in the Wolf Pack, Scott Steiner when he was babbling crazy shit all the time. But Hall was sort of the guy. He was cool, and I wrote about it in my newsletter. But I think the only time wrestling was ever cool on the whole. We had ECW running around, and then kids were talking about wrestling in school. All the kids, not just the wrestling nerds, and people at the office talking about Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw, the water cooler the next day. Before we really had widespread internet and could talk about it on social media or in chat rooms or whatever. Like it started because Scott Hall showed up on Monday Nitro and said, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." And it was only one person who could really pull that off. And the wrestling world is a lot poorer for having lost him, but it was a lot richer for having known him. A lot of people, he touched a lot of wrestlers. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels can't agree on much, but they both agreed Scott Hall was a stand-up guy. He helped out a lot of guys. He helped out obviously Waltman. Everybody remembers the 1-2-3 Kid. He helped out Jericho in WCW. He helped out Hiroshi Tanahashi in New Japan Pro Wrestling 2002. This is before the Go Ace 1 in 100. He was just a young lion. Scott Hall saw him, say, this guy's money. And so during the tour, he was doing a tour over there, and he said, let's do the 1-2-3 Kid finish. China went over there, and he wrestled her. But it all starts with Scott Hall. So you had this guy whose heart was as big as his coolness, and it all started because he signed with the World Wrestling Federation and pitched an idea to Vince McMahon. Said, "Let me do this character," and Vince McMahon, having never seen Scarface, okayed it. And now we're here. So I just it's an unimaginable loss, and it's one that you kind of wish your heroes would stick around forever, and it's the same thing when Randy Savage and Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper all went. Scott Hall's on their level.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome, Johnny. Thanks, Tom. Mikey Bowles, Tom Holzman, and your cousin for their thoughts. I know you had
all those guys.
Yeah,
that was a quick time crunch. So
yeah. But what are your thoughts, Johnny, on Scott Hall role?
That was kind of why I wanted to put that video together, because I couldn't decide, and I was like, maybe I just need to watch a documentary. Maybe I need to, and I was like, maybe I need other people's opinions. And still with me, like I'm conflicted because I want to tell a ton of stories, but I want to stick to the ones that made me laugh, because that's all Scott Hall ever did. The Razor character with Goldust. With Goldust like feeling him up back in the 90s, and he would get away from me, like, what I mean? Like, he always played he was always a comic. Even though he was the coolest dude ever, he always had those good one-liners. And I've been telling people stories constantly. The Baron Corbin one, NXT, where he's like, "They're gonna turn me heel. They found out you're a dick." Like, he hits him with that line. Tom and I were talking about the Bubba Ray Dudley, and he was like, "I love the 3D. Can't wait to kick out of it." And my favorite one is that he's responsible for Sting's Crow mask when it went during WCW. And the rumor is the line was, "You ever seen the Crow?" And Sting and Bischoff are like, "No." And he's like, "You probably should," and walks away. It becomes one of the most iconic characters.
Yeah.
He was great backstage.
Yeah, huge. I think for me, I was kind of like looking back through subscription on Peacock, and of course, like they have the libraries of like the WWE Network on it, and it was the Monday Night War, and Tom alluded to it a little bit.
Yep.
I don't think we really fully remember what actually was happening when he arrived in WCW. You have to understand, like, this is probably in the this is definitely in the mid-90s. The internet really had
96.
96.
Yep.
And really the internet hadn't taken off. If anything, the internet was it was very textual based. There wasn't a whole heck of a lot that you could really find out from it. Everything was news oriented. Everything that you had to get was news. And if you didn't see it on the news that night, you knew it was going to be in the newspaper the next day. So having that in mind, you don't have anything kind of like immediate, is my point. There wasn't any.
Can I interrupt you right there? Even with news, like today, you can find wrestling on like ESPN or TSN, like on major sports reporting websites. And even newspapers. You couldn't find, like, the ESPN wouldn't touch wrestling back in the 90s. Nowhere close to it.
Nothing.
Yeah.
If anything,
for the closest thing, and if you didn't know how to get dirt sheets, it was an email-based subscription where you had to email something you saw on the back of the magazine.
Exactly.
Eventually email you something that would tell you what was kind of going on.
So with that in mind, and that's such a thank you for those 2 points, guys. Really, with that in mind, he comes walking down the arena steps, and people are going, "That's Razor Ramon. What the heck is he doing here?" Right? Yeah. So the level of what the heck is happening is permeating throughout the arena, and then of course you have Shivani going like, "I don't know what's going on," and Razor hops the barricade. Scott Hall hops the barricade and doesn't beat the wrestlers up. He grabs the microphone and slides into the ring, and then the match stops, and he just starts talking, and he delivers that great line where you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. Monday Night Wars eventually started right from that very moment because people were like, wait a minute, what's his motivation? No one knew that he had signed a contract with WCW back then. And here he is, he's left, basically WWE from the north and invaded WCW in the south. What is happening? And then you have Kevin Nash coming in, and then the rest, as they say, is history with Hogan turning in the Bash of the Beach in 96. And then all of a sudden, bam, the golden age of wrestling starts to explode. And all of us were in the mid to late 90s. We all became good friends back then. That's all we were talking about, for crying out loud. John, I know you were huge into that.
Our first roller hockey team we put together had NWO colors in it because they were cool.
Red and the black.
You know what I mean? Because they were cool. That was the cool thing.
Let's not beat around the bush here. You used to bring your little Kevin Nash action figure.
Oh yeah,
the hockey on Saturdays.
Yeah, NWO was it back then.
It was huge, and so that's the kind of impact that really Scott Hall, I think, really left. Yes. There were huge moments in the WWF, and I'm not discounting that. But it's the moment that he goes and he leaves Vince for guaranteed money in Turner, and then all of a sudden it's like he comes in, and it was a perfect way to introduce his character. Coming down off the stands. You didn't have, really, wrestlers coming down off the stands like that. And that was a stunning visual. I'm sure people that were there were kind of going like, wait a minute, what's he doing there? It's the biggest, and as long as you get eyeballs glued, that's what he did so well. Not only with the Razor Ramon gimmick, but also with what he did in WCW, and really the introduction of the NWO. Those are my thoughts, really, on him. Just huge. But John, do you have any other finishers you want to share with me?
I do the neck breaker.
Oh, I can't wait to kick out of that. That's our genuine thoughts on Scott Hall. May you rest in peace. See you down the road, brother.
Absolutely.
Hey, yo, Scott Hall.
Hey, yo, Scott Hall. Absolutely. So, gents, let's move on to topic 2. And this one was very, very interesting. The war in Ukraine continues to slog along, and Russia now has decided to fight back, quote unquote. Washington Post article here. Russia has effectively legalized patent theft for anyone affiliated with countries unfriendly to it. And unfriendly is in quotation marks. And apparently
that's a daily thing with Putin. It's like...
Yeah, exactly. Russian officials have also raised the possibility of lifting restrictions on some trademarks, according to state media, which could allow continued use of brands such as McDonald's that are withdrawing from Russia in droves. So we do have a patent lawyer here.
We do.
Steve.
I have a question, though. I want to start first.
Let's go for it.
Now, they were really bad at this before they're doing this, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Russia is not one of the best places for owning intellectual property, generally. So
that's just it was my one thing because it seemed that way. But to Matt's point, like kind of break this down layman's term for us who don't do what you do, because I don't understand.
Like what is the ramifications of all this, Steve?
all right, so patents are territorial, right? So when you get a U.S. patent that gives you certain rights for your invention in the United States. And so any country you go into, they have their own patent system. And if you want to protect your invention in, say, Russia, you would apply for and obtain a Russian patent. Well, so what Russia has decided is if you are a patent owner from an unfriendly country like the United States or Great Britain or Canada or whoever else was on that list, if you have a Russian patent, that's nice. We're not going to enforce it for you. So what that means is anyone in Russia can take your invention and practice it without your permission or without paying you anything. And trademarks are similar. Trademarks are also territorial, and there's actually been at least one court. There's the character Peppa Pig. I'm familiar with it because my kids are young enough to have watched it when they were young. It was on Nickelodeon. It's a cartoon, and a Russian court said, "Oh, you're in an unfriendly country, so we're gonna let these people use your Peppa Pig trademark, without paying you. So tough shit." And what are you gonna do? And I think, as the article points out, companies like McDonald's and Starbucks, people in Russia are filing for trademarks that use those terms, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do about it. It's interesting.
Just like the guy that was trying to screw the Commanders, or made them the Commanders, trying to screw every other thing that's happening in Russia.
Yes, yes, but the difference is here. McDonald's and Starbucks had established trademark registrations in Russia that are basically being taken away from this. This guy was just like, "Hey, what are some names that the Washington Redskins could use?"
Yeah, he was trying to get a score, but what is happening to these companies now? They can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Is there any?
And it's the point of a trademark is you are, I think I've mentioned on this podcast before, you are kind of designating ownership, right? So if you buy, this is not soda, but pretend it is, if you buy a Coca-Cola brand soda, you expect a certain level of quality. So if, my dog pissed in this bottle and I slapped the thing and said Coke on it, that might give you a negative perception of Coke that's unwarranted, whether you're pro Coke or not.
I get what you're saying.
And so people getting these trademarks in Russia could do the same thing, harming Coca-Cola's image, or any other company for that matter.
Internationally.
Well, no, I mean, outside of Russia, hopefully they're going to know, but just because of the way media works in Russia, you might think, wow, Coke has really gone downhill. I don't think I'm going to buy that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know. One more question about the patent system, why Russia is doing this. So there's literally no way that it's international. Like that's not a thing. Like there's not a governing body above, kind of like, sports have like the international committee, and then they have the state committee. So there's none of that.
No, there are organizations like WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, where you can file one application, and then that is sort of the gateway to getting into all these countries separately if you want later. Yeah, that's a good analogy, actually. That's a really good analogy.
Makes sense.
But they don't have, that's really just application part of it. When it comes to actually enforcing the patent, that comes down to each individual country on its own. So if you want to enforce a patent, it's got to be in that country specifically. And so Russia is prioritizing Russians over other outsider companies.
Yeah, exactly.
In enforcement. And it's now, the good news is I can speak from my own personal perspective. Our firm does not have clients that file a lot in Russia.
Mm.
In addition to Russia not being a good protector of intellectual property to begin with, it's not typically a great place to spend your money. When we advise clients on like filing in foreign countries, usually what we tell them is, well, you want to file to protect it anywhere where there's going to be a big market for your product, or you want to file it where it's being manufactured to stop other manufacturers in that country from. Those are kind of two of the biggest things we say you should consider when deciding to file. And Russia is not usually, China's a big one because they make everything in China.
Yeah.
Europe's got lots of markets for purchasing things. Brazil is a big one for pharmaceuticals for some weird reason. But Russia, unless you're talking about like,
comes from.
unless you're talking about like oil, Russia is not a big player on manufacturing or purchasing markets.
Amazing. Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of IP there to protect. So that's the good.
Well, that's good, because what my worry of reading it, not knowing anything about it, it seemed like there were societal ramifications of what if some jerk off in some other country was like, I like Russia's idea. Screw McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like, everybody likes McDonald's, but screw them. We don't need to deal with that. Right. But if that's something that, if they're kind of if they can't really do it and they sucked at it in the beginning, doesn't worry me as much as it did when I first read the article.
Right.
I was just going to say, guys, really 2 points. Really, one is this action by Russia clearly is demonstrating that they're really more and more becoming. I'm convinced of it each and every day that the war continues to go on. Russia is becoming more and more of a pariah state, and they're essentially leaving the world stage because of their actions in Ukraine and their actions that they're taking against the West. It clearly is going to set this country back by at least 10, 15, if not 20 years, maybe a generation, which is not good for the Russian people at all. And so then the question then from there would be, what can the Russian people do to get rid of this jackass that's running their country right now? And that is going to be a difficult.
I have faith that they will figure that out, because
I hope so too. I
don't
really
think
do.
the Russian military is interested in what Putin wants, and I don't think any of his people are interested in what
they had a fourth. Speaking of the war, they had a fourth general officer killed in the line of duty. And I talked to my father about this, so I know this is off the beaten path. I talked to my dad about this today, and essentially it's backwards. Whereas the generals lead from behind and give the instructions out to the captains and lieutenants, they're basically out in front. The general officers are out in front leading the troops, and the troops are like, I'm not going to this war, essentially what's happening. And so they're getting all shot up. But point two, and this is interesting, I just clicked on the link inside the Washington Post article, and it leads to the Office of the United States Trade Representative, or the USTR. Steve might know something about that. But in the report, the 9 countries that are listed that are on the priority watch list for intellectual property issues: Argentina, Chile, China, India, Indonesia, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Ukraine, and Venezuela are the 9 countries that are on this priority watch list where it is very difficult to protect intellectual property in.
That's right.
There are 23 others that are on the watch list, and there are a few listing here. There's Algeria, Barbados, Brazil. Canada is listed on there, surprisingly. Colombia, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Kuwait, Lebanon, Mexico, Turkey, Romania, Thailand, Paraguay, Peru, Vietnam, that kind of stuff. So it's it's very interesting.
Pretty status quo. From issues.
Pretty status quo.
Sounds like American history, pretty much, of dealing with people.
Yeah. But it's very interesting to see how this is all going to play out in the coming weeks, because I think, I don't know what to make of all of this really in the whole war, and now the ramifications where it's like, well, okay, Russia's now basically saying that you can steal this person's intellectual property just for the heck of it, just to get back at these sanctions, which is kind of like, well, that's great. I really don't want to do business with you in the first place. Essentially, is my argument. My argument to that would be, no, okay, I'm pulling out of Russia immediately. If you want to just do that and steal my property, the hell with you.
But they're going to steal it anyway. Like, even if McDonald's has pulled out.
Yeah.
They have, yeah.
But
I get the sense.
Good, Steve. What were you gonna say?
I get a sense that, you know, I'm sure in court there was home cooking against foreign, you know, rights holders to begin with.
Oh,
but now it's just explicit and kind of what's the word I'm looking for? In response to it's, you know, it's combative. For lack of a better term.
He falls in line with everybody Two Noobs have ever taught. Like, Putin just falls in line with the rest of these glad-handing, elitist assholes that think they can do something, and they get on the world stage, and everybody looks at them, they're like, you're full of shit. And then they slowly creep back in their little friggin' holes, thought they could be world leaders, and they're not. Because most good-blooded humans are looking at these people like, what are you really, Putin? You can't even beat Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Go to another country and they're gonna kick your ass? What are you just gonna do? Get your ass kicked from around the? I mean, it's the same. It's the same stuff all over again. It's overreach of government.
Yep.
It gets beaten back by the citizens.
Yeah.
He falls right in line with that.
One can only hope that, and I agree with you, Johnny. One can only hope that the Russian people, if there's enough
I pray every day
influence in there that can change that mind, because this one thing about the war, I guess you could say, is a quote unquote blessing, is the fact that relatives are going to war with each other, and that is a huge factor in that war that is really kind of underreported in the media right now, but it is going to turn the tide of the war, you would think, hopefully, with the Russians, because you have Putin kind of showing off with this 200,000 man like glad handing, like, oh wow, this is wonderful, and it's like, how wonderful it is for you to say one thing and then basically saying those that dissent against you, you're going to spit them out of your country. Okay.
Yeah, his speech last week was very Stalin-esque.
Yeah. If there's anybody that I wish had a 50 caliber sniper, that would have been a perfect time to take him out. But
I think the Russian people
rather
take them out. And Ukraine is building a history for themselves right now.
No question.
The United States has and other countries have that have liberated themselves from bullshit. They're writing history right now, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'd rather he be taken into custody as a war criminal.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And we all make fun of Boris Johnson. I think he's going to be the one that he's a loose cannon. He wants him bad.
You're putting him as the prosecutor.
Upside the head.
You're putting him as the prosecutor, Johnny. Is that it?
I don't know. He's crazy as a bedbug. I love these guys that he stood in front of Parliament. He's like, I don't even care if you're with me. You're going to be with me.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting him.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff because that's the way it should be. Go get him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Go get him and show the world.
Yep.
I want to see Europe. I really do. And I think it's going to happen. I want to see Europe stand together for the first time in our lifetime and many other lifetimes.
Easily. Yeah.
Stand together and just kick this dude out.
Yeah.
Hang him.
They have
Hang
done
him like you did Saddam Hussein. I have no issues with it. Creak. Like, that'd be great. Be great. Put it on CNN. You'll get ratings.
Yeah, exactly right. So let's move on, gents. Topic 3, and the Major League Baseball is back, Johnny. How about that? Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred finally got together.
Nothing.
And did absolutely nothing, but, okay. Finally, they got everything resolved. We're going to have baseball. We're going to have a full 162-game regular season. We're going to have a Phillies preview in a couple of episodes down the road. That's going to be a big topic. But for now, since Major League Baseball is back, we have some new rule changes. One of them is immediate, and that involves a universal designated hitter in the National League, which breaks my heart as a NL-only guy, because I believe the pitcher should hit, damn it. But It's the winds of change, John. What are your thoughts on the universal DH now that it's
I
universal?
was with you until Steve beat me down and actually made me look at it in a way. And I am
an old man. I will die on this hill.
I was willing to die on the hill, but Steve cut some of the hill off, and he was like, "Come here, young Padawan baseball learner. I'm going to teach you something that's better." It was awesome. I'm going to miss.
Yeah. The Joe Blanton home run.
Yes, I'm going to miss those things, but I'm going to forget them pretty quickly. I'm all for it at this point. I'm going to do the get off my lawn probably every once in a while when we lose because the DH hit the home run and it wasn't the pitcher. Like I'll do that. But
yeah,
I've seen the error of my ways with it. That Steve can work on you next week.
I've got a convert.
I know it's 2-on-1 now.
Oh yeah,
but I think the DH, especially with the Phillies' recent signings.
Oh yeah,
and
it helps the Phillies absolutely.
Yes, and the way the lineup was last year.
Oh,
if
it's
we
huge.
had a DH, we probably would have won a couple more games.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I knew the DH was eventually going to come to the National League. But I was like a little kid, whining, crying and screaming and going like, I wanted the pitcher to hit, and all that kind of stuff. But I get it. It's like when it got instituted in 2020 because of the pandemic, all that kind of stuff. It was like, okay, well, it's going to be inevitable. That was their trial run with the DH. They're going to go with it whenever
it worked. Nobody actually cared. Like, really? Like, we still watched the games.
We still watched the games. It was weird, an empty stadium, but yeah, we still watched the games. That kind of thing. Steve, I know you've been a proponent of the universal DH. Your thoughts, sir?
I'm not. I mean, you can't say I'm a proponent of it. I just, you guys, when we met for pre-production, and we started talking about the universal DH, you guys were like, oh, this is the worst shit that's ever happened since Russia invaded Ukraine. And there's a deep drive into left field by Castellanos that makes it 4-0.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But, and I'm like, guys, I understand. I miss Brett Myers working a walk off what's his name from the Brewers?
CC Sabathia. Yeah.
I will miss Joe Blanton hitting a home run. Now, that's not to say, these guys can't be used as like pinch hitters.
Yeah.
Some of them are good enough that if you're deep into your bench, you could use them to pinch hit.
Absolutely.
I will miss that. But 97% of the time, you get a pitcher who goes up there, never takes the bat off his shoulder, and watches 3 strikes go by.
And this is literally Phillies baseball because you've got Nola that is. He takes the first strike, he takes the second strike, and it takes a wild swing.
Adjusts his bat
himself to the dugout and walks away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad enough. They've taken away the intentional walk. You just say I'm intentionally walking. You don't even have to throw the pitches.
Yeah.
With the pitcher up, you could have done the same thing. I'll take my strikeout. All right, get out of here.
Yeah.
Save me 3 pitches.
He just speed it up.
Exactly. I am not gonna miss having to watch that every 3 innings.
And again, it will speed up the game, to your point. Does speed up the game, obviously, when you have that. But yeah, I mean, okay, you're convincing me even now, that it's going to work. But yeah, it's...
I think that the moral of the story is we all will miss it in our own ways, but it might just be time.
Oh yeah.
It might be time with the clickbait, the kids that can only watch. The only reason we cut minute videos because people can't watch 3-minute videos.
Mm-hmm.
If
it gets more eyeballs on the product, if you get more hits, more homers, hey, what the heck? If you get more people running on the bases, I'm all for that. That kind of deal.
I'm for more scoring,
especially if you're not going to have it. If you're going to have it guaranteed out, every 3 or 6, every third inning, it's going to suck at that point. Yeah.
And from the union's perspective, you're going to get more jobs, right? Because
players are
guys can extend their careers. They can't play in the field anymore. Well,
it's going to be the whole Ty Cobb thing all over again. Ty Cobb should have been gone years before, and then went to the A's and started hitting home runs because he could be a DH. He didn't have to play anymore.
You didn't have to play in the field anymore.
Yeah, and you've seen that. You saw that with Prince Fielder. You saw that with Miguel Cabrera after he gained 757 pounds. He was Woo! Big kid. I saw a baby hippo in Detroit that was bigger or that was smaller than him.
But another massive rule change, gents, that will take place, I think, either next season, 2023, or
2023.
2023, is beating the shift. It will be essentially outlawed. No team can now move 3 or more infielders over on the right-hand side and leave the other left-hand, left field wide open if you're a left-handed hitter. To me, I'll take this to start.
Yes.
I've always said, well, if you're going to beat the shift, learn to hit the ball the other way.
I understand that.
It's like I would think you would, if you got an opening, left field. I hear that all the time. I heard it when I was with my dad, heard it with like other friends I was with at the games. Hey, they're leaving the left field, the infield wide open. Why don't you hit the ball down the field, down the line? And I'm thinking, like, makes sense to me. But again, we don't have Tony Gwynn. We don't have a Cal Ripken. We don't have guys that we hit guys that hit for power. So you don't get that chance to hit the ball down the left field foul line anymore. I mean, it's kind of weird. That has to be now outlawed in order for this to stop happening.
Other than Bryce's 4 bunts down the line for singles. I mean, that's pretty much.
But you're not going to ask Bryce Harper to do that.
He's only going to do it 4 times because he did it only 4 times last year, and he only did it 4 times the year before. Like he doesn't do it that often. He does it in situations.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I feel for Ryan Howard. I really do.
Oh, he usually got robbed of at least 100 hits in his career.
Did that? But could he have been a Hall of Famer if the shift didn't exist? I would love to dig deep into that for further episodes because I can't. It feels like a lifetime of putouts that he had at that shift position with the second baseman in short right field.
He had a lot of strikeouts.
It felt like it was like a lot. I'm not sure. We'd have to look at hit charts for years.
I feel like the strikeouts were probably his bigger problem, but I get your point with the shift.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it probably robbed him of a lot of doubles in his career.
It's a lot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a lot of guys. Like I think Bryce Harper. I'll just say it as a prediction. His batting average, I think, goes up 10 to 15 points.
Yeah.
With the shift, just accidentally.
Yeah.
You're not talking about him. He's going to have to relearn how to hit.
Johnny, just to give you an idea, Ryan Howard had 277 doubles in his career. He played 13 years. So that was with the shift. Now, if you take that out of the equation.
If you could take his putouts, I'm talking line drives, ground balls, and fly balls to that center position and give him half. The half double, because he's a big kid. He's not gonna double every time he hit the ball. You know what I mean? Like a half, maybe even a quarter of a half. I think it raises his hits to a point where there's at least an argument.
Maybe, yeah, probably. You never know.
Matt, I get your point. I understand. Well, hitters should learn to hit the other way. Well, I hate the shift. I think it's stupid. I think it looks dumb.
I agree.
I totally agree. It's the dumbest thing ever.
But okay, learn to hit the other way. Well, how about you learn to field, and make outs with what you got over there? And how about you learn to pitch so that they don't have to hit it into that area, strike them out? Or
my simple question with Ryan Howard thought is, why can't you play no doubles defense and put your second baseman there? What's Ryan Howard going to pull it through the middle? Like, come on. You could have run actual defense that you had. And I'm talking not just Ryan Howard. I'm talking all the Miguel Cabrera is the only one that the shift makes sense in. But it doesn't make sense because Miguel Cabrera could hit the ball wherever he wanted.
Miguel Cabrera was a right-handed hitter too. You weren't shifting for that.
But he could hit the ball all over the place.
Over the field.
Well,
you get these guys that they were shifting on. They were hitting in one.
They were pull hitters.
Yeah,
they're
pull hitters.
They're pull hitters. Yeah.
So that's the only reason it was there. And
yeah, exactly.
I'd rather just go back to the 80s and the 90s where they didn't have it. And if it fell in, it fell in. If you lost, you lost. Baseball is for people that don't understand the pageantry of baseball. It's a very long thing that happens all the time, and it's a beautiful thing when things go your way, and it sucks when it doesn't.
When it doesn't go your way.
Still baseball.
Well,
You know
the
what I
thing
mean?
with the shift is it doesn't have the history in the game like the DH part does.
That's kind of my point.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shift, from my recollection, has only come about in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Probably last
Shifting
10,
in the
15.
90s?
Definitely pushing in the 20s, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But we're not shifting in the 30s. You know?
No, it was definitely around. I would say like 2005 is when it was used.
It's all Billy Bean's fault.
Yeah, it is all. It actually is mostly everything that's wrong with baseball, and I'm 100% agree with you. Is Billy Bean's fault? But I agree with him. OPS is OPS.
Yeah.
I'm just. I totally agree. I'm not paying a guy $47 billion because he has a 395 OPS when I can pay a guy $12 because he's got a 387 OPS. It's a smart stat to look at. It really is.
It is. It is. There's another rule change that's going to happen. This is going to be down the road a little bit. The pitch clock. So this is when the pitcher gets the ball back from the catcher, and he's got now. It's going to be 14 seconds. When the batter steps in the box, the pitcher then has to throw the ball towards home plate. That's 14 seconds. That's got to happen. It's, I believe, 18 or 19 seconds if you have a runner on base.
Way to cause anxiety. Jesus.
Yeah, seriously, right? I mean,
What about if that guy is not taking his medication properly?
Idea here is to try and shorten the game length.
Yeah.
And what did the study find in the minors? Like it decreased the length of the game by like 20 minutes on average.
20 minutes.
Perfect. That sounds
great.
That sounds amazing.
Perfectly fine with that.
They're
They're saying like the major leagues were like 3 hours long.
It's too long. It's
And
too
that's
long.
like a Lord of the Rings movie. I mean, the Lord of the Rings is great to watch. Don't get me wrong, but
you can't watch the whole thing. You got to get up and make a sandwich.
exactly.
Same thing with baseball, but they don't stop. That's the problem with baseball.
That's
you
the
can't
problem.
pause a baseball game.
Yeah.
They last longer than those movies that you can pause.
Exactly. So if you speed it up to a full feature-length movie, which now is 2.5 hours in
I
length.
think 2.5 hours. I think for better
A
men.
7:05 game, you're done by 9:30.
Yeah, that's
I'm
great.
perfectly fine with
That's
that. Yeah.
It's better for everything in society. Better for marriages, better for your own personal thought process because you don't want to sit there for like I watch every Sixers game and thank God it moves on because I like click off at halftime, I get away from it, I come back at beginning of third quarter. Baseball, I just keep it on and I wander because it takes so long. I'm doing other things around the house, just listening because we were raised on radio more than we were TV. So that's kind of my thing. But if they were able to shorten it, it would help me enjoy more baseball.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's good that it's from when the batter steps in because 14 seconds, once the batter's facing you, you should have no issue getting the ball out of your hand within 14 seconds.
Could you imagine with some of these dudes that are autistic as I am with those batting gloves? Like, could you imagine if they started a pitch clock in 14 seconds? You'd be thrown at their head.
That's what this doesn't solve.
Yeah.
No, that's one thing.
Does not.
But I understand it. Yeah. I understand that the batter, like, I understand you need to feel comfortable. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But we come from a sport where you don't leave the locker room until you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That's kind of different because it's not like when we play hockey, it's not like, oh, we're changing positions. Mm-hmm. We got to change all of our equipment.
Yeah.
That's the one. Like, I don't know how to solve it in baseball, but it drives me nuts with the gloves and the you got to straighten your
do
hat.
not need to adjust your batting gloves every freaking pitch.
But I know that's a get me off the lawn kind of thought process. Yeah. I don't like it either, but I don't think a clock, maybe if they had a batter's clock, what if it was 14 seconds to get in? Do you think that would slow it down?
I mean, if anything, I think I would want the batter.
12 minutes.
I would say this. I would say if you're going to put a clock, put it on the batter. He steps out of the box.
Like a shot clock.
You literally could.
Yeah, no. Here, how about like a 3 second, the 3 second violation in basketball.
Yes.
Bingo.
He steps out of the box, the umpire counts to 5, you got to get back in the box.
Yeah, and how difficult would it be to adjust your things in 5 seconds? Probably not that difficult. Yeah.
Right, you step out of the box. All right, 1, 2, 3,
and then
4. Back in. Here we go.
Here's my question, just as a joke, but actually a real question. Would the umpires union accept that because he's moving his hand 173 times a game?
Okay, you don't have to do it. You can just one,
and then they're going to have to give him more health insurance
Johnny.
He's got tendonitis from moving his arm.
Johnny, thank God Joe West.
What baseball is, but I'm just saying.
Thank God Joe West retired. That's all I have to say about that, right? I mean, it was like, oh my gosh.
It's more of a joke, but we all know with the baseball unions, all of them are the problem.
Yeah.
They need to just give it up and get these simple things like a batter's clock, like a pitcher's clock.
Yeah.
You got the one other one
it
that
speeds the game up.
Yes.
It should be good.
It should be. The baseball game should last about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, easy.
There is no reason for a Yankees Red Sox game to go 4 hours. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Like how? Like I would be
only
so bored
if it's
after
in the
that
playoffs, and
What's
if
that?
only it's if it's in the playoffs. I have no issue with watching sports because it means something.
It does.
If you're going to go 4 or 5 hours in the playoffs, like circa the greatest game in our memory with Keith Primo scoring the game when it got that thing lasted. I was watching that at work, got off of work, drove an hour, got home, and watched 2 more hours of that game.
Right,
but it was the playoffs and it was worth it.
But also, John, hockey is constantly moving. It's not 7 hours of some dude going, oh, I gotta pull my glove off.
No,
here.
but that's okay. If we can eliminate all that,
yeah,
and let's just say a World Series Game 4, pick whatever teams. We are eliminating all the stuff.
I would want that 3.5 hours.
If it goes 4 hours for the championship, you'd be more invested than on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
In
Tuesday
March.
night, in May, where you're kind of just like,
no
okay.
reason.
Yeah, there's no reason to have
a game to break out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Also, if we're on the topic of speeding up the game, can we get the relievers to not stroll in from the bullpen like picking dandelions?
I've always wanted the bullpen car to come back. I want the bullpen car to come back to answer that question.
People think like smart people think alike. Bullpen cart. Why can't you? Why?
100%.
Worry about their arms. Why don't we worry about their damn legs?
Bring it back. Bring it back. Seriously, you can't bring somebody on you can't have the fanatic on his ATV go out and get somebody and wheel him back in. Are you kidding me?
Screw the bullpen cart. Freaking pitcher can't jog his ass in from the bullpen to the mound.
Well, yes, you could jog in, but I'm saying if you're going to worry about their arms, worry about their legs. Get the bullpen card. I have to watch that fucking measly, fucking weird lizard from Galapagos Island drive over the mound 27 times at a baseball game. You can afford a fucking golf cart for a pitcher. That's all I'm saying.
Don't make
maybe
fun
slip
of the
and slide
fanatic.
for the guy that's getting thrown out. The manager grabs him by the pants and throws him on the slip and slide. He goes into the dugout.
Johnny, don't make fun of the fanatic. He's awesome. Come on now. And he's back. And he's back to normal. So there you go.
He is back to normal. Thank goodness for that, too.
He's evolved back to normal. Well, the final topic before we get out of here with this last topic, the bigger bases. Now, okay, they're making them, they usually make them 15 square inches. They are now
15
going to
inches on the side.
15 inches on the side, right. But now they're trying to make it 18. Now, okay, 3 extra inches, maybe 1.5 inches on either side, let's just say. Thoughts on that? I mean, does that increase stealing, do you think? I
mean, it does increase stealing because there's more surface to wail your hand at.
Yep.
So
harder to
what,
miss and slide over.
Exactly. We don't know what the percentage is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll definitely increase it. I would love a couple years down the line. I have it actually in my book. I want to start researching a couple years down the line when I see where the steals go. I'm going back to Ricky Henderson because if he could steal 9 million bases, I want people to know about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like I want to see how many Lou Brock would have stole. Like, it's many years down the line. I'm all about long-term storytelling. And it will be on Two Noobs episode 650.
656? Yeah.
I think it's also a player safety issue.
I think so too.
More surface area, less, banging of ankles and
I agree 100% with the injury because playing bar league softball and I like the slide, those bags were reg for normal play.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to have more surface space because my fingers did not do well, not knowing how to slide well, and sliding in. You can dislocate
you could bust
when you're trying to get, and you're not gonna. Harper has that slide pad, and a lot of them have
goofy
that
oven mitt looking thing.
Everybody should probably have them because.
Yeah. I'm sure they're available that are out there, but it's crazy.
I think my kid has one.
I bet he does.
I think they look stupid.
They do.
It does look weird to have like this one glove on your hand that's like covers.
It's not even a glove. It's
not. You're right. Yeah.
I was taught
like an oven mitt. You're right.
I was taught when I was a kid to keep your batting gloves in your hand. So slide with your fist, not your hands.
Interesting.
That's the way I was taught.
I was taught slide feet first.
Yeah, well, that's
you won't have that problem.
You won't have that problem. There you go.
Yeah, but then all those amazing base stealers in the 90s came out, and they were all Jimmy Rollins. Majority of the time was sliding head first.
First. Yeah. Well, gents, here we go. Topic number 4, and it's on to Two Noobs Tournament number 2, John.
Yes.
I'm excited.
So this is, again, completely off the cuff. We had a blast doing the best candy bar.
We did. I was actually, in
a very shocking, and not necessarily in a very shocking win, Twix, the number 2 seed winning it all.
They were the best team.
But Snickers was definitely upset in the first round, so who knows what's going to happen with this one. So John,
you all have me to thank for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So we will start this tournament. This is the bagged chips tournament.
Okay.
This is not the big bag chips. This isn't family size. This isn't what the chips you buy for your family. Okay. This is snack size vending machine chips.
Oh,
okay.
So there's some things on that might not be. They are company wide, not directly. Let's just say Dorito. It's not sweet chili Dorito. It's not.
Okay.
When you look at Dorito, it's all encompassing. So whatever Dorito makes you happy, that beats the other team. That's how it goes.
Gotcha.
So let's get it started. We'll get this tournament going with the 3-6-2 Steve.
Okay.
We have the Tostitos versus the Fritos.
Ooh. You got the toes match up here. What do we got?
I've never been a big Fritos guy.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the major upset of the tournament.
Well, I was just going to say, so you're going Tostitos then.
I'm going to go Tostito. Now, normally I will eat Tostitos. Usually I'm getting like tortilla chips.
Yes.
And dunking them in salsa.
There you go.
These are the snack size tortilla chips, but the only reason I thought they were going to get upset is because you just don't have maybe you do, Steve, but I do not have salsa in my bag.
I sometimes do. Yeah.
You can get.
We did though.
You can get a little thing of salsa, a little. But I'm gonna go with Tostitos on that.
Nice.
Okay, cool. All right.
Tostitos, the 3 seed moves on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it wasn't even an upset. That was,
No, that was.
It was a great 3-6 matchup though.
Seed overthrowing the 3 seed. So now we move on to the 4-5. Yep. Matt, we got Ruffles.
Okay.
Versus Pringles.
Who's Ruffles?
Ruffles is 4. Pringles is
No. Who's?
It doesn't matter.
It means there's like hers, Ruffles. There's
no the Ruffles, like the ones that have the
regular Ruffles. Yeah.
So just any brand of Ruffles.
Any brand, any flavor.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you like the sour cream and onion Ruffles potato chips.
I would have to go. It's very close. Very close. But I'm going to go with the 4 seed, the Ruffles. And the only reason I say that is because the Pringles, they're good in the beginning, but then they can get kind of like the salt kind of lingers with you. I don't know how else to explain it.
Oh, no. And the breakage, even if it's a small container out of vending machine, you breakage at the bottom.
And you break it at the bottom, and it's like, that's a pain in the butt. And you got to you're eating through the... No. So I'm going to go Ruffles on that.
You're eating chip crumbs out of the can.
Out of the can, where you're going to have that with the Ruffles. So it's like, okay, it's a given. that kind of a deal. So I'm going
So
Ruffles.
you're going with a more bag presentation chip. I understand. I understand.
Yeah,
where you're
100%.
going.
Yeah, I mean, ruffled chips have a better. I don't want to say consistency.
That's the only word I was thinking.
They
I think you're
are
right.
stronger. They're
Yeah.
stronger.
They're stronger.
They're stronger.
Whereas the Pringles break apart easier. Yeah.
They're like Scott Hall. They're not.
There you go.
They're not flimsy like some jabroni. Okay, so we
Exactly.
go to the 2-7 seed, Steve.
Okay.
We got Lay's potato chips, one of the most popular
Ooh.
in the world,
Mhm.
going against Cheetos, which probably has some of the best marketing ever.
Ooh. Wow.
And that's like when you get in the flaming hot Cheetos. I just recently, just as a preference of this, I had flaming hot jalapeno Cheetos.
Ooh.
Genius. They work there. I love it.
This is really good.
I love me some Lay's potato chips,
Mm-hmm.
and I can eat them plain,
100%.
regular, without. Usually with potato chips, I like to go with some sour cream dip.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
But the Lay's, the ones in the yellow bag,
Yep.
I can eat those straight, nothing on them.
Nice.
But here's your upset, because
Love it.
I love me some jalapeno Cheetos.
Exactly.
And the
Cheetos
dust.
are-
Are you kidding me?
Jalapeno. I don't even know if they make them anymore, but at one point you had jalapeno white cheddar Cheetos.
Wow.
And they were
man.
amazing.
Oh, God.
Amazing.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Cheetos has a bunch of brands. Their Simply brand of white cheddar Cheetos
Yes.
are
Yes.
phenomenal.
I eat those. I eat those every week for lunch, man. Those are
that's
great.
awesome. Good stuff.
So Matt, we're going to the number 1 versus number 8, and
Let's do it.
this is country versus home here.
Ooh.
You've got the Doritos
Okay.
going against hers.
Wait, who's won? Doritos?
Doritos is the
Doritos
one.
is one. Doritos was actually ranked this year on many polls on the internet as the number 1 chip bought. So they were clear number
And
1.
you've got the home state hers, which they're a great chip too. Oh man. This is hard. Again, another great matchup. I think I gotta go with the Doritos though. I think the number 1 seed ekes it out. Again, real close, but I think the Doritos is just, when I think Doritos, I think nacho cheese Doritos. I could eat those all day. And the hers is like, I could take them and I can eat them, no problem. But I'm leaning Doritos. It's like,
I'm in full agreement. If you walk up and hand me a barbecue hers
yeah.
and a nacho cheese.
Cheese? Dorito? You're going with
be
the Dorito.
tough, but I think I'm going to go with the Dorito. Just because of that. And hers barbecue is my favorite thing of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Steve, let's go 1-4 Dorito versus Ruffles.
Well, see, this is where it gets interesting, because you guys are going to hate me because I do not like Doritos.
That's fine.
Ooh.
That's fine.
So
Okay.
I'm pulling Ruffles here.
All right,
Another
Ruffles
number
goes-
1 upset. Wow.
Ruffles is not a bad chip.
No,
It's not a bad
it really
chip.
is not. I love their cheddar and sour cream.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, that is a
that's a
solid
staple.
contender
I like
right there. Yeah.
So we got our 7 going against our 3.
Your Tostitos
So,
Cheetos
Tostitos is
matchup.
playing home here.
Yeah, you know
Cheetos
what?
got another road victory.
There
Matt,
was-
what do you think of Cheetos?
There's a lot of love going on with those Cheetos, and I'm not into big of the jalapeno. I don't like the chips hot. But that being said, the Cheetos, the regular, I could eat those all day long.
There we go.
7 seed moves on.
I ate them coming home from Hershey, man. The big fat puffs. I don't like the small hard ones that much. I like the big fat puffy ones. Those are good.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we'll do this as we did last week. We have our matchup, our final game here. We got Cheetos versus Ruffles. Let's
The
go.
4 versus the 7.
I'll just put mine out. I'm gonna go Cheetos.
Okay.
Steve, you next.
It's Cheetos. It's not even
Matt, I'm pretty sure you were Cheetos.
I think I'm going to be Cheetos on that one too, Johnny. I think it's a pretty clean sweep. I mean, it's interesting that they were the 7 seed, but
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
yeah, they were the 7.
I don't know. It was weird. And it was multiple polls. I kind of want to get a consensus. They were low on,
Yeah.
maybe because they're not a chip, but they're still a bagged snack. That's why I went with bagged snack.
They are very unconventional in terms of chip, but I think they are considered to be a chip. I would think. I mean,
I eat them for lunch all the time.
Heck yeah.
Put little bags in, and they're messy as hell. And I'm before I'm like meeting with someone, I'm like, I gotta get all this.
Oh, the white cheddar ones are less of a problem.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
Yes.
See, I don't mind the original Cheetos, and I could lick. I mean, are you kidding me? I lick them right off my fingers all the time. Yeah, come
Absolutely.
on. So,
Absolutely.
all right.
I'm
So
a little
Cheetos.
weirded. I'm a little weird though why Tostitos was 3rd, because I think of them as the tortilla chip, and by itself, maybe it's because people eat them with salsa or other things, but by itself, it's not. anything
No,
to
it's
write home
actually
about.
not, it's not a good chip by itself.
No,
I don't
you gotta
even
put
eat
stuff on it.
Tostitos. I eat all the off-brands. It's probably better for you, but
There you go.
Yeah, the Tostitos, but they did have the bowl. Maybe people like the bowl.
Maybe.
Tostito did go bowl.
Oh, the bowl, yeah.
Years
Yeah,
ago,
but again, you gotta put something in the bowl.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're not just eating the bowl.
That's true. It just might be memory. Like they might just remember how great it is to have a boatload of salsa in your mouth, and you say, "I eat nachos every night," so I'm totally with them.
Yeah.
I love nacho chips.
But Cheetos with the win. Yes.
Cheetos,
job,
you are the
Cheetos.
unofficial Two Noobs champion of the chip. So
He's
there you
unofficial.
go.
He's the official.
He is now the
It was
official.
unanimous, 3-0.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's
same
right.
thing with what's his name last week.
Twix was the candy bar champion.
So we're seeding now because they're gonna face each other. So
Oh, there you go in the final four. That's
so,
right.
Yeah, we got our final four because we're gonna have that in time.
There you
But
go.
yeah, we got our next tournament winner. On to the next one. It's gonna be probably
Like-
food related.
There you go. So let's close it out here, Johnny.
By the way,
Oh, look at that right there.
I found
we
this.
did find the bar after me disbarring Reese's because it was a fucking circle.
There you go. Of course, he finds it in Hershey. No surprise.
Well, yeah, I can't remember the last time I saw one of these in a store.
Yeah.
I had to actually go to the source to get these things.
Yeah. So now you got to save that for a very special occasion, Steve. You know what I'm saying? Maybe save it for episode 100. Just saying.
I
Put it in
say
the
as
freezer.
soon as I find one in the stores, you have to eat it. I'll literally scour every store. I'll just take a day. Everywhere that I can find.
So
Okay.
let's close out episode 76, Johnny.
Yes.
You found this great happy segment out
thank you for
of
the
Channel
credit.
12 News in Scottsdale, Arizona. And really, really cool.
Today, we are celebrating all retired American service members, and we want to introduce you to a local veteran of the Second World War. This veteran found an entirely new passion in writing, thanks to the inspiration he received from the love of his life. Here's Colleen Sikora.
Then I went to boot camp. From boot camp, we went to Quantico for a commission.
At 99 years old, Sam Baker has a memory like an elephant.
I saw the ship. It was so big. I had never seen a ship this big.
Sam joined the Marine Corps in 1942 at 19 years old, just 4 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
As a first lieutenant, I was the second senior officer in the battalion.
It was after Sam returned from war that he learned his wife Janet had been reading to his son Michael and daughter Sally.
When she was about 2.5, she had me sit on the couch. She got her favorite book, climbed up on my lap, and read me the whole book and closed it with authority.
From there, Janet inspired Sam to create his own stories.
She was also instrumental in getting me to write the first book.
That book, written by Sam at age 96, entitled The Silly Adventures of Petunia and Herman the Worm.
Reading is a foundation for all future learning. If we have a building called education, the foundation is reading.
I've lived a lot of lives and learned a couple of lessons along the way.
Recently, Sam released his second book with the help of Canva, a crowd-funded campaign to raise money to publish Oscar the Mouse, a story about a young girl and her pet mouse.
Children who read succeed. If I can just do anything to increase the reading of young children, I will have had a wonderful experience.
Taking nearly a century of life's valuable lessons and passing them down to future generations to come. In Scottsdale, Colleen Sikora, 12 News.
Well, they haven't had a happy in a long time, Johnny. No surprise it's a World War II veterans, but yeah, it's awesome. Love it.
It's very near and dear to my heart because I've been working for years on a children's book that, you know, hopefully will come to fruition at some point.
No kidding.
I can't draw. I'm a bad writer, but you know.
Other than that, you're okay.
But yeah, that's awesome. The people that are putting that out do really good work. We need more of that. We need more of those stories like that, but we also need more people with imagination to, you know, help the youth along instead of just putting them in front of YouTube and letting them figure it out. Like it's near and dear. It's very near and dear to my heart, and finding a veteran that is doing it inspires me even more because he's 96. Like,
yeah,
99, something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had an idea too for like an ABC, like a, ABC where it's illustrated and everything's linked. So it was like A, apple, B, bad apple. And, so they continue like C, catch the bad apple, and then to a dinosaur. But then I get writer's block and I can't go past D.
That's how writing works.
Exactly.
I know, right?
Exactly. C.S. Lewis once said, "Imagination's like one of the." I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but imagination was so key. That's why. When he wrote Narnia, that was all his imagination, and he had obviously some inspiration. But yeah, that's something that I think we need to recapture. Is really just taking the chance and having good imagination.
He's 100% right. It is the foundation. If you want an education,
yep.
Oh yeah.
The great reading some of the greats will form you into a person that's willing to even learn more.
Hell yeah.
Because it is a very big foundation in life.
No doubt about that. And with that, guys, episode 76 is done once again. Steve, you powered through. I love it. There you go.
I made it.
76ers power, 76ers basketball.
You did it with class like you do everything else.
As always, yeah. So, guys, John, where can people find us, brother?
Oh, God, we're all over the place. We get love on Clapper, which I'm just going to talk about. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the nice words. We tried. They called us funny. They called us a good talk show. Thank you. It means the world to us.
Yeah.
That's not just a comment on social media. It means the world to us that people would take the time to tell us something.
Hell yeah.
We're also on TikTok, which we get love for. Facebook, Steve does a great job. With that, we are on Instagram Reels, and we also do an Instagram post, and we're also on Twitter where Tom has tagged us. So hopefully more people will watch us. Welcome. If Tom put us here, thank you to him for, putting that shout out that he was on. And that's all we're doing is small videos to put us to our.
Yeah, that's our main YouTube channel. Of course, that's the Two Noobs Talking podcast. Like, share, subscribe, get notified when all of our episodes drop. And of course, you can also take a look at our entire library. All 76 episodes have been posted since October of 2020 on YouTube. How crazy is that? That's awesome. On the audio side, Mr. Steve Murray, where can people find us there, bud?
We are proudly hosted.
Yes!
By Podbean.
There you go.
Which puts all our sticky fingers into many pies like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah. That one too. Yeah.
Get out of here, Spotify.
Beat it.
Yeah. Jesus.
And of course, our show notes, guys, Two Noobs Talking at WordPress.com. We're going to fire off those show notes. It's been a while since I've done it, but we're going to throw in the Washington Post article. We're going to throw in a few other things as well. Probably some clips on Scott Hall. What the heck?
Absolutely.
I think that would be really helpful.
You can see the full video there. We'll take Mikey Bowles. Check him out on Instagram.
Yeah.
Check Tom out on Twitter. Check his newsletter out. We'll put all that in there because Tom can write.
Yeah.
Talk about a writer.
And he had a great article on Scott Hall. Yeah. So we definitely encourage you to check that out for sure. It's a terrific read. So, guys, that's it. Episode.
We're also on Rumble. Let's not forget about that. We are.
Was that? I forget. Is that audio or video?
That is video. If you hate YouTube, just watch us on Rumble. It'll be.
There you go.
Matt'll throw it up somewhere where you can find that link to it. We'll get more on.
Probably have to do that post.
Yes.
Episode. Yeah.
Yes.
Check some boxes, Matt.
We are on Rumble if you hate YouTube, and Rumble's not a bad place to be.
There you go. Well, that's it, guys. 76 is in the can. Does anyone have anything final to say before we get the heck out of here?
John, I've got an opinion on this episode we just filmed, and I hope you know what it's going to be. But I felt that episode was just too sweet.
Talk to you all guys next week. Take care.